If you're just pointing and shooting randomly on your iPhone and just hoping for the best, this video is for you. Because here's the thing, your iPhone's camera is way more powerful than you think. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down my top 5 tips for you to be able to take clean, sharp photos on your iPhone. And if we haven't met yet, hey, my name's Zach, and I like to think I make learning photography pretty simple. All right, let's dive in. Shooting only with the focal lengths that are actually on the back of your phone and that are preset in the camera app will probably be one of the biggest level ups you can get from this video. If we have a look at our phone here, which is just pointed down straight at my desk, you can see that at the bottom of our camera app, we have 5 buttons. We've got 0.5, which is our ultra wide camera. We've got the 1x, we've got the 2x lens, and then depending on what iPhone you have, you may or may not have this, but you've also got the 5x lens. I believe it also could be a 3x lens on some older iPhones, but either way, the idea here is that you only shoot with these 3, or if your iPhone even only has 1 camera, 1 lens. Now, what do I mean by that? Because of course you're going to be taking a photo through one of these lenses. Well, the idea here is that you don't want to zoom in between these lenses. So if we jump back onto the phone, let's say we wanted to take a photo at 1x. Okay, brilliant. That's great. It's arguably the best camera and it's the best sensor with the best lens on the back of our phone, but maybe it's a little bit too wide. So we have a look at the 2x lens, but that's a little bit too tight. So we want something in between. Well, what I can do here is I can zoom in a little bit and let's say 1.7 is perfect. Well, this is far from ideal to do for 2 reasons. 1, your image quality is going to decrease a lot, and 2, your flexibility with cropping later on is also going to be reduced. So here's what you want to do instead. Tap on your focal length and make sure you go back to 24 millimeters, which is the 1x focal length. And from here, you want to take the photo. Now what you can do is when you're cropping later on, when you're editing the photo, all you have to do is zoom in a little bit more with the crop the image to exactly how you wanted to take it when you were out shooting it, and now you're done. Now the beauty of this is that you've retained all the original information and you haven't just cropped in on the sensor, because believe it or not, on the back of your iPhone, there aren't lenses zooming in. There are 3 prime lenses and that is it. So they do not zoom, and all you do is switch between them when you tap on each focal length when you're in the camera app. So when you zoom between one of these focal lengths, all you're doing is digitally zooming in on the sensor and in theory, reducing your image's quality. Far from ideal. Underexposing your images when you're shooting on your iPhone has got to be one of the easiest and best level ups you can do to your entire iPhone photography experience. For some reason, iPhones love to overexpose the images that you shoot on them. I don't know why, it's just like that. So a lot of the time I find myself when I'm out shooting, I'll tap on the screen just like this and then drag the sun down a little bit. But when you're in a rush, or if there's a moment that's about to happen and if you need to take, 3 or 4 seconds to adjust the exposure and get it just right, sometimes you might miss the moment. So what do you do? Well, there's a really easy way to preset this inside the camera app. All you've got to do is come up to the top left-hand corner. You'll see this weird looking meter thing, and you want to tap on that, and then you can preset your exposure value. So here, let's say if we crank this up to +2, every single photo I take is going to be overexposed by 2 stops. Don't worry about what a stop means. It just means it's going to be a lot brighter. Now, if we come down here to 0 again, and then we move it to -0.3, this is going to be underexposed by 1/3 of a stop. Once again, don't worry about what a stop means. This just means your photo is going to be slightly darker. And then if you come to -0.7, it's going to be even darker again. For me personally, I find myself going between -0.3 and -0.7, depending on the shooting conditions I'm in. And I find that adjusting your exposure to be underexposed just a little bit adds such a nice level of contrast and depth to your images that you otherwise wouldn't get if you're just shooting at the 0 exposure, the even exposure level. You know what's funny? If you ask any videographer or creator what the hardest part of the video creation process is, they'll usually say it's finding the right music. However, today's sponsor, Motion Array, is making that way easier for us. And here's how. If we come over to motionarray.com and then into their music library, you might notice this new little button. This changes everything. And to use it, what we need to do is find a song that we like. What we want to do now is click on that new little button, which is the similar songs button. And now Motion Array will show us a load of music that is similar to the song that we first chose. See, I'm super picky when it comes to the music I use in my long and short form content. So to be able to find just one song that I absolutely love, and then to be able to press one button and then be able to find what feels like endless songs just like it is a real game changer. Motion Array is also constantly coming out with brand new updates just like this to continue making their platform better and easier to use. With their already 2 million plus creative assets waiting to be used in your next photo or video project, it's an absolute no-brainer as a creative to be using Motion Array. So if you want to join Motion Array today, you can get yourself 2 months for free of Motion Array when you sign up to their annual plan. All you've got to do is use the first link in the description. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and join Motion Array today so you can start leveling up all of your creative projects. A huge thank you to Motion Array for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to it. Now shooting in RAW is great because it gives you so much flexibility when you're editing, and we'll dive into that in just a minute. However, there's one little setting that you've got to make sure you're turning on to stop your iCloud filling up with a load of RAW files and you having to pay Apple a load more money to expand your iCloud storage. Let me show you how to do it. So what you want to do is dive into settings and then come down to camera. Then you want to come down to formats, and of course, make sure you have ProRAW and resolution control turned on, and then tap ProRAW default. And then you want to make sure your ProRAW max is set up to 48 megapixels. And then your ProRAW format is set to JPEG XL lossy. Turning this on compresses your images a little bit. The file size dramatically comes down, but the overall quality, I have no idea how this magic works, really doesn't get reduced. I find that I have all the flexibility I would if I was editing a normal ProRAW Max JPEG lossless format versus a JPEG lossy format. The only difference that I can see, and keep in mind, I'm no absolute professional pixel peeper guy. However, the only difference I can see is the file size, which is really good. They're dramatically reduced, and I would strongly recommend to turn this on to make sure that your iCloud isn't filling up like crazy. Now to turn this on in your camera app while you're shooting to make sure you're actually shooting in ProRAW Max, you want to come up to the top right-hand corner and you'll see this RAW Max logo. Make sure it doesn't have a line through it. Just tap on it and then you'll be shooting in ProRAW Max and you'll be getting the best quality photos that your iPhone can take. Now, speaking of editing, this is a huge one. You want to make sure you're editing your photos. My editing app of choice is Lightroom Mobile. It is by far the most powerful, the strongest, has the most wide variety of tools that you can use on a photo editing app, in my opinion. Here are some of my before and afters that I've edited in Lightroom Mobile. All of these photos are from my iPhones, ranging all the way back from the iPhone XS Max all the way up to today's iPhone 16 Pro Max. If you're not editing your photos, your photo is missing out on so much of its potential. So you've got two options. You can either learn Lightroom and understand exactly how to get the results you're after. If you want help with that, I've got a 30-day Lightroom Accelerator program that you can join today for free, or you can download Lightroom presets. I recently created a brand new preset pack called the AI Lightroom Toolkit, which takes advantage of Lightroom's powerful AI capability and puts it into a preset to make editing your photos an absolute breeze. It's incredibly powerful how it works, especially when you pair it up with my master collection, which I have conveniently bundled for you down below in the second link in the description. So if you want great photos today without any learning, go ahead and check out the master collection bundled with the AI Lightroom Toolkit, and I promise you it will level up your Lightroom workflow like crazy, or Lightroom results like crazy, because you might not have a Lightroom workflow yet. All right, now moving on to tip number 5. This is just going to be a rapid fire of tips shot straight at you, because there are so many things you can do on your iPhone to take better photos, and I want to make sure that you have like 95% of them. You ready? All right, so when you're shooting at nighttime, make sure you're only shooting with the 1x lens. This is the lens that will perform best in low light for two reasons. One, it's got the biggest sensor, and two, it has the widest aperture, which means your camera doesn't have to crank the ISO and you won't have as much digital noise that looks absolutely dreadful in your images. And then next on the list, every time before you shoot, you want to make sure you wipe down the back of your iPhone's lenses. This is because over time, especially as you're just using your phone, not taking photos, your lenses on the back of your iPhone can collect a whole load of fingerprints. And then what happens is when you open up the camera app, things look fuzzy and foggy. Not ideal, not great. Definitely not a vibe. So before every time you shoot, just make sure, even just taking your shirt and kind of wiping down the back of your lenses can mean capturing a great photo or capturing a photo that you just can't wait to delete. And now, if you want to be coming home with photos that look like they weren't shot on a phone, I would highly recommend to zoom in. The 2x and the 5x cameras on your iPhone are going to be your best friend here. You only want to do this when the light is good, when you're in a bright situation and there's no darkness going on. Either way, you want to make sure that you're zooming in way more often because you're going to get a few things. One, you're going to get a way wider diversity of shots, which is going to be really good for when you're editing and posting. Two, you are going to get so many more photos that look like they weren't shot on a phone. And three, you'll be able to take advantage of what is called lens compression, which helps bring the background closer to your subject. Especially on the 5 or the 3x lens, of course, depending on what iPhone you have, this is where you're going to notice it the most. And there we go, guys. That wraps up today's video. I hope you were able to learn a lot about taking better photos on your iPhone. And I hope the next time you go out to shoot, you're having an absolute blast. Keep in mind, if you do want to level up your Lightroom skills, go ahead and check out my 30-day Lightroom Accelerator free program below in the first link in the description. And if you want to continue learning about photography, photo editing, videography, and video editing, you can check out this video right here, and I'll see you over there.